Hi everybody, it's Az here from Heel vs Babyface. It's the boss time of AzChats. One doesn't come for ages and then suddenly two come at once. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, I knocked one out a couple of days ago. Easy. That's an AzChats. And last night, while I was streaming some Xbox One Destiny beta, a very interesting topic of conversation arose via Twitter. Now, I don't know whether it was meant to slip out on Twitter or whether or not it was purposefully put out on Twitter to try and make it as low-key as possible. But this topic of conversation, as we will get to very shortly, don't panic peeps, had me thinking big time. Hence the title of today's AzChats, Warlords of Panic! Panic! Because that's kind of what it feels like right now. So, there is a problem. There's always a problem. The beta is still down. Allegedly, there was a power cut in Blizz last night, and they couldn't finish off the beta build that they wanted to put up, so the beta is still currently down. And I have, in recent weeks, months, decided to put something visual for you to look at during your AzChats outings. Now, the only footage that I do have on my PC at the moment, which I was compiling, was for a video I'm going to do on Ashran. So I may just put all this Ashran footage on, and then do my own video with brand new footage, most likely tomorrow. Or, I might just keep that footage for the video, because some of it's pretty good, and just you know, stick an image for you to stare at. So if you do want to stare at the screen, because remember, AzChats are more podcasty type of videos as opposed to visual videos. It's a feast for your ear vaginas as opposed to your eye vaginas. So, you know, this is something that you can just simply crank up in the background and go off and do whatever you want, you know. Go polish the silverware. That's not a euphemism, children. Not a euphemism. Okay, I'll just do whatever you need to do. So last night, not last night, but the night before, no, it was actually last night. Last night, Law, God bless Law's heart. Can I just say, for the record, I don't know if Blizzard are trying to make Law the fall guy. I really don't. Or whether or not Law just likes to put his foot in his mouth, because this is not the first time that Law has kind of come out with something and people have just gone and face-palmed themselves. Remember, we had the whole business with the faction hubs getting taken away, and Law tried to do this explanation, and the explanation was, I'm sorry to say this, Law, pathetic. Really pathetic. It was like Blizzard or either Blizzard or his brain. I'm not trying to throw all the blame at him. You know, he might be operating under direction from the powers that be above. But whomever does that, whomever decided with what would come out of his mouth, it was as if they decided that all their customers were 3 years old and mentally retarded, as opposed to quite a mature audience, which the World of Warcraft actually is, and have more than 3 brain cells. So yeah, but another thing slipped out last night. Now, Blizzard were putting together a new beta build. As I've just mentioned, it's currently still down due to a, inverted commas, air quotes coming out here, power cut. And they said that they're going to open up 2 more zones. The Spires of Iraq, not Iraq, Arak, and also Nagrand. Everyone's looking forward to Nagrand. And they would also raise the level cap to 100. So we would be at maximum level cap once we do all our leveling up with our current toons. So somebody said, and if you followed my Warlords of Draenor streams recently, then you would have seen me fly over the case here, which is Tanaan Jungle, completely unfinished. I actually had a glitch on my beta a few weeks ago, and this is really weird. This is really spooky. The beta was down, the server was down, and I was still on. I was still on running around everywhere. So I went everywhere. I went to Nagrand. I went to Spars of Arak, not Iraq. Arak. I went into Tanaan Jungle, but Tanaan Jungle was completely undone. It was just, you know, they hadn't touched it. So I was just like, this is unfair for Blizz if I stay here. So I turned around and I left. But somebody said, what's Tanaan Jungle going to be then? Because we will now have got to level 90 to 100 by going through every zone. Frostfire Ridge for the Horde to start with, Shadow Moon Valley for the Alliance to start with. Then you go to Gorgrond, then you go to Talador, then you most likely go to, I'm going to say Spars of Iraq. Not Iraq, Iraq. Oh, I'm so funny. And then you go to, I think, Nagrand and finish in Nagrand, which means there is one mainland zone still unaccounted for, Tanaan Jungle. And lore, oh god, I can't believe I'm going to say this without wincing. I'm going to try and say it without wincing. Comes out with a tweet, not even a blue post, because the next bit of information that comes from my lips, which is a quote from lore, or at least artistic license from lore, should have, at the very, very least, come out in a blue post, in the form of a blue post so everybody knew. Lore says in this tweet, it's an almost quote, it was always intended that Tanaan Jungle would be future content patch, would be a future content patch. Because the seat of the Iron Horde's power is Tanaan Jungle. Ooh, now then, let me just have a look at my calendar here. My Batman calendar, which I got last Christmas from my housemate. I love it, it's awesome. It's magnetic. You don't have to, I can use this forever and ever, because all I have to do is move one magnet to the month, and then move the other magnet to the day. I might even put a picture of that during this segment. But it's awesome. But my calendar tells me that today is the 25th of July, and I know, because I am not a 3-year-old mentally retarded child, Blizzard, no matter how much you want to treat me like one, I know it is the year of our Lord 2014. Let me just go back in time and pick another date out for you. November 2013. So let's do some calculations. Let's do some counting. So there's, I'm at July, so that's 7 months. So that's 7 months in the year 2014. There's 8 months if I add December on, and there's 9 months if I add November on. So give Blizzard the benefit of the doubt, 8.5 months since BlizzCon of last year when Warlords of Draenor was announced. And other things were announced. Things like the island that's going to appear off the southern west coast, which is going to be the Ogre Island, and that was going to be a future content patch and stuff like that. And the island that's in the northeast that is going to be used for future content patch. Now, in those 8.5 to 9 months, one thing that we never heard at all, in any situation, in any scenario, in any event, was Tanaan Jungle is going to be a future content patch. This was always alluded to be current content releasing in patch 6.0 and part of our progression. Always alluded to be. There was nothing, no hint, not even a slight minuscule nyah of Blizzard ever deciding to drop anything that resembled a hint or a pointer that said, Tanaan Jungle, by the way, folks, that's going to be future content patch. You're going to be leveling up in the 6 zones. So why is this such a big deal? Well, number one, because it's taken 8.5 months for this information to come out, it does smell like bullshit. It does smell like Warlords of Panic. They are running out of time to get stuff ready. Stuff is not working either as intended. Stuff's taken a lot longer to create than they anticipated, which in itself is very scary, because remember, they have been saying that they've been working on this since before Mists of Pandaria was even released. And Mists is set to become the longest running expansion to date. Ugh. Secondly, beta is beta. That's what I mean, it's the classic line which unfortunately you have to drop in there. Blizzard at any time, due to the fact that this is a beta, have the right and blah 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 and blah blah to change. To change anything at any given time. And if it means that Tanaan Jungle cannot feature into their 6.0 plans and it gets pushed to 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, no, Blizz 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and then 5 fucking years without any content and then a new expansion. Shots fired. But you get my drift. It's their license to do that. But for me, as a player, this now kind of upsets me. And the reason why it upsets me is one of the things about Warlords of Draenor that I was really looking forward to was diversity in leveling. And what I mean by that is I hated Mr. Pandaria with a passion that you could only dream of. And this hatred was very easy to manifest. And the reason why it was very easy to manifest is because I had so little choice. So little choice. I would start in Jade Forest. I would then move to Valley of the Four Winds or Krasarang Wilds. That bang was Belle jumping in through the window, FYI. That was your only choice, was that. Valley of the Four Winds, Krasarang Wilds. And even if you decided to go down into Krasarang Wilds, you ended up coming back into Valley of the Four Winds towards the end anyway. From there you went to Kunlai Summit, from Kunlai Summit to Townlong Steps, from Townlong Steps to Dreadwaste. It was a boring, monotonous procession. It was like A to B to C to D to E to level up. I found it utterly mind-numbing. And then to have to do that on all my alts. Oh, sweet Jesus. It was just verging on... Well, it wasn't verging on painful. It was so painful. Just the very thought of having to go into Townlong Steps almost made me want to cry again. It's just like, I can't do this. I can't go back into Townlong Steps again. It is the most dreary suicidal zone I have ever seen in the World of Warcraft. It is like grey, blue, green, and that's it. And it's just driving me nuts. And that is one thing that I really hated. Taking my toons. If I wanted to get my toons up to top level, that was the most efficient way to do it. And it was just awful. And I was looking forward in Warlords of Draenor, especially with the 10 level increase, was to have diversity and to have that choice about where I took my characters. And I was thinking, I mean, maybe silly me. Maybe this is actually, maybe I'm a 3-year-old, mentally retarded 3-year-old. Because maybe stupid old me thought, wow, you know, my Horde character starts in one zone and my Alliance character starts in another zone. And then I'm going to have the choice, do I take it up to Gorgrond or do I take it into Talador to level up? And then after that, I've got the choice of going across to Nagrand or do I go into Spaz of Iraq? And then we end up in the final zone, which will be Tanaan Jungle. So when it came to leveling up other characters, I could switch things up. I could go from Shadowmoon Valley to Talador, and then from Talador to Nagrand, and then from Nagrand to Tanaan Jungle, and then take another Alliance toon and go from Shadowmoon Valley to Gorgrond, and then from Gorgrond to Spaz of Iraq, and then from Spaz of Iraq into the final zone, into Talador, into Tanaan Jungle. I was looking forward to those decisions. I was looking forward to my game feeling fresh. I was looking forward to my game feeling different, and I was looking forward to experiencing new things. But no, we now have another paint by numbers leveling up system, which we didn't have in Wrath of the Lich King, and we didn't have in the Burning Crusade, and they were some of the most exciting leveling up experiences that we had because we actually had some goddamn fucking choice. But now, no. It's your starting zone to Gorgrond, from Gorgrond to Talador, from Talador to Spaz of Iraq, from Spaz of Iraq to Nagrand, from Nagrand to Tanaan Jungle. Well, Sorry. Nagrand to level 100 and then wait for a content patch to be released where you can go into Tanaan Jungle. Sad, but true. And I'm going to have to do that on all my toons, and no matter how nice these zones look now, because they do look beautiful, I am not knocking any of the artistic nature of this game because it is simply divine, but when you're just doing a procession paint by numbers experience, it gets dull. It gets dull. It really does. Look, I'm going to put things in a really base way here. A really base way here. You have boobs in Shadow Moon Valley, and then from boobs in Shadow Moon Valley you have boobs in Gorgron, but they're just the same boobs, and then the same boobs move from Gorgron to Talador, and then those boobs which you had in Shadow Moon Valley, which are the same ones from Gorgron and the same ones that you had in Talador, move over to the Spires of Iraq, and then those same boobs from the other 3 zones, plus the Spires of Iraq, which now makes 4, are the same boobs that you see in Nagrand. Same boobs, the same boobs. It just stops being appealing to the eye after a while because you're just there. They're just there, and you're constantly seeing them, so you're becoming immune to them, almost immune to the charms of them. You know, that's how it does. This is why when you watch a horror film, when you've never watched horror, they scare the shit out of you. But the more horror films you watch, the less scary they become, because you attune yourself to it. And this is exactly what's going to happen with the zones. We're just going to attune ourselves to them, no matter how beautiful they are. Because we're just doing the same old shit again and 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 again. With different tunes. That's it. Give us some freaking choice. I personally, this is my own opinion. I might be right, I might be wrong. I think Blizzard's talking bullshit. I think Tanaan Jungle was always meant to be the 98 to level 100 zone. If you have seen its current state, it's not even anywhere near ready, as previously mentioned. I think they are running out of time. I think there's now a directive within Blizzard that they want to have Warlords of Draenor out before the 10th anniversary, or slap bang on the 10th anniversary of World of Warcraft to coincide with it, to make a nice little twee. Hey, it's the 10th anniversary, and guess what? New expansion, folks. That's what I think. And they're just running out of time. They're running out of time. Things aren't working quite as planned. Probably namely garrisons. Garrison seems to be the root of everything that's going wrong in this game at the moment. It does seem to be the root of all evil, which is a shame because it's does in theory come across as pretty good, and I have enjoyed myself in my garrison so far. So if they do get it to work, egads, thank God for that. But it does seem to be causing multiple problems. We then have the capital city malarkey with Temple of Karabor and Bladespire Fortress, these two fantastic, phenomenal pieces of architecture in the Alliance and Horde starting zones, which were announced as the capital cities at BlizzCon, suddenly getting vetoed for 5 huts and a fucking fire and 3 buildings and a goat called Derek on the PvP instanced Isle of Ashran. What? Weird things are happening. Very odd and strange things and decision-making processes are being made. And I think Tanaan Jungle was no different. I think for whatever reason they just simply couldn't get it done. So what a decision was made. When this decision was made is most likely at least a few weeks, if not a couple of months ago. At least. But it certainly didn't filter out, and it certainly didn't come across to its audience. And why Blizzard want to remain so secretive is beyond me. Because when you have a community that's in the know, and when you have a community that you communicate to, you know how communicate and community have this communi thing going on here? When you communicate to your audience, Blizzard, people are actually a lot more fucking understanding of what's going on. Because they appreciate that you talk to us, and they appreciate that you share these things with us. But you do have a very high and mighty attitude. This is our game, fuck you. We will tell you stuff we want to tell you, and if we don't want to tell you, then and stick two fingers up. That's not the way to treat your client base. It's not the way to treat your customer base, and it's definitely not the way to treat a customer base that pays you a monthly subscription on a game that you're raking in hundreds of millions of pounds a month on. And the vast, now 60% of that seems to be coming through microtransactions. So we're doing you a freaking favour right now paying a subscription fee. Trust me. We really are. As opposed to vice versa. So, I think it's just something that they couldn't get done. And in not being able to get it done, they've now sacrificed our levelling experience. And somebody replied to this tweet from Law, and they said, so what's our endgame content going to be? Are we just talking raids, dungeon scenarios? And the reply was quick and swift, and they said, no, there is level 100 content set up in every zone. Checkmate! You just got yourself caught in checkmate there, Law. Because you gave away exactly what the initial plan for Tanaan Jungle was. If every zone has level 100 content in it to some degree, boom, so did Tanaan Jungle. But it was only part of the content. Because the other part of the content was the remainder of the leveling up experience. Check. Mate. So we don't know the ins and outs. And again, this is speculation. AzChats are always speculation. Remember, my dopamine and serotonin levels are so low, my brain decides to do this stuff, to do this speculative stuff. But it definitely feels that way. When Blizzard discuss endgame content at BlizzCon, and they mention nothing about one of the main zones on the actual continent of Draenor, we're going to say continent of Draenor right now, then to me it alludes to the fact it was never the plan in the first place. Never the plan in the first place. It ended up having to be the plan due to whatever reason. And they're throwing content out on the beta so far. They are throwing it out on the beta so far. And if you didn't see yesterday, they also put up a piece of news saying, if you want to get your Azeroth chopper, because let's face it, that's all that we want in life, Blizzard. Slaps himself across the face. But if you want to get your Azerothian chopper from that phenomenal web series, from that Midlife Crisis web series, then you have until the 30th of September to log in to the live servers, and then the game will recognize that you've logged into the live servers, and then you will get your Azerothian chopper when Warlords of Draenor is released. So just as a by the by, your chopper is now hidden behind a paywall of buying the new expansion. Just saying. Well, it kind of is, you know. I mean, you can not buy the new expansion and just wait for Warlords of Draenor to get released and then go around on your chopper, because in theory it still should be given to you whether or not you buy the new expansion. But let's face it, the thought behind that process is to is to try and entice you to log in now, so you pay a month subscription fee. So that's the very least paywall that it's hidden behind, is 1 month subscription fee. So in effect, you're paying £10, £9, $12, whatever it is, in the various other countries around the world. And then, of course, the hope is that you go off and buy Warlords of Draenor, which seems to be in a panic. To me, it now seems being a bit of a rush. And from what I saw early doors in the beta, which excited me, and that was the whole leveling up experience, I'm now at a point where I'm starting to get particularly worried. Because when stuff doesn't work, and when capital cities get turned into huts, and when what absolutely appeared to be 6.0 content vanishes into the ether to become a content patch at a later date, it kind of spells that there is trouble in paradise, and it's trouble that is worrying me a lot. So whether or not we have this level 100 content, and I have seen areas around the different zones where there are level 100 things to do. We saw it in Shadow Moon Valley, where Netherwing Ledge is Outland. There was something with Jig's Roost, and that's an Iron Horde base, you can call it. Base of operation. And they're all level 100, chilling out there. So there's stuff to do there, but it's only a tiny island. We're not talking. It's not as if this kind of stuff, it looks like it's going to be able to entertain us for 2 years, or it's going to be able to entertain us for a whole content patch until something brand new comes along. That seems very what's the word I'm looking for? Well, it just doesn't feel very likely. It feels like something that might take up 10-15 minutes of our time, and whether or not it's linked to daily questing is an unknown. But I've been into other zones, and there is a smattering. There is little smatterings of level 100 areas. Definitely nothing that, again, I would say would seemingly seem efficient enough to maintain any kind of meaningful endgame content. They're just very small pockets of level 100s, and what is going to be linked around there? Who knows? Probably some daily quest. I'd imagine some sort of daily quest or some sort of event to do. But there we go. So Tanaan Jungle is now locked out. Now locked out to 6.0. Not going to happen in 6.0. It's going to be released at a later content patch. Warlords of Panic or Warlords as in working as intended? You tell me in the comments down below. But just the way that they've gone about this says to me this was never the plan. This is now the plan. This may have been the plan a couple of months ago due to the fact that the original plan fell through, but this to me definitely feels like something they wanted to quickly sweep under the rug, get a little bit of information out here, and then say, if somebody picks up on it in a couple of months' time and says, wait a minute, I've just seen this tweet from Law. Where was our blue post? And Blizzard be just like, we told you. We tweeted it a couple of months ago. We told you. But people have leapt all over that tweet. And rightfully so. And rightfully so. So what content are we going to get endgame for Warlords of Draenor? I don't even know if the beta is going to provide that information for us. But it's going to be for now that when it does eventually go live and the level cap goes to 100, and I will push my tune now to do the leveling up so we can see it all. It's going to be very intriguing to see what is there to do at endgame in Warlords of Panic. Je ne sais pas. So, folks, comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I sincerely hope that you enjoyed the vid. Please do give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to my channel and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and twitch.tv/Hill vs Babyface for live Warlords of Draenor Panic streaming. And I shall be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care, everybody. Bye-bye.